Hey guys, and welcome to a battle featuring myself in charge of the Children of the Old Ones, the Lizardmen, up against Gabiota is what we're going to go with, of GVB and his Dark Elf forces on Galbaraz. Should certainly be a good little scrap, and this was from a session where I was basically just taking really odd units and kind of characters and stuff on quick battles just to try them out and kind of mix up my gameplay a little bit. But for the majority, we have gone for a relatively sensible build, coming in with quad Chameleon Skinks in the front line here. Now, Chameleon Skinks are incredibly pesky to deal with. They're certainly one of my favourite units if I am the Lizardmen, and if I'm against the Lizardmen, I certainly hate taking them down as they kind of stick their little tongues out here. They have good missile resistance, they're fast, they poison you, they do decent damage, and I think one way to take on the Dark Elves as the Lizardmen is to simply outshoot them, and they can do it pretty damn effectively. We have the Umbral Tide in the centre pocket here as well, just waiting in the shadows here to push forward. These bad boys, of course, do have Stalk, and do pretty good burst damage all around. Now, for my main battle line in the centre, we do have a rock-solid triple Saurus Warriors, double chevroned as well, and some skink cohorts on the wings to help wrap around and try and pressure my opponent. Up in the skies, we do have the Colossodon Hunters, the Ripidactyl Riders Regiment of Renown. That I've been using quite a lot recently, actually, and they're pretty good fun. They're incredibly glass cannon, but they can tear apart even like a mighty dragon up in the sky, especially when they do pop Toad Rage. And these little birds hate the toads so much that when the skinks throw the little toads onto the enemies, they're going to a bloody rampage, plus 50% base weapon damage and armor piercing. These guys do some pretty crazy stuff. Now, the hero core is where we kind of got real wild with it. We actually have a Foot Kroak here, still coming in with all his buffs as well as the Hand of the Gods. Although on foot, I'm not sure if all his buffs are necessarily needed, but we had the money, so why not? And then up, we are here on his mighty floating seat. We do have the Lovecraftian creature himself, Lord Kroak, who does come in with the Supreme Shield of the Old Ones, but all of my money is going to be sunk in to Deliverance of Itse. Of course, it comes in 3 stages, each one doing slightly more damage, and we have the Golden Death Mask as well, a nice little debuff. So Lord Kroak is going to be the centerpiece of this kind of more experimental build. Now, for my opponent here, he's got a pretty solid build himself, going a bit bad to the bones actually with the heavy infantry, which is interesting to see, perhaps expecting more like a Temple Guard Doom box and that kind of stuff. So we do have the Dread Spears and Black Ark Corsairs on this left-hand side, but the right-hand flank and the centre pocket is where it gets pretty damn extreme. We have the Black Guard of Nagrond, 2 units in fact, and the Hagenef Executioners in the front line. These guys held their swords incredibly badass, but that must kill your arms after a while. But still, they're going to be charging in there, and they'll certainly be able to chew through Saurus very quickly. We have quad Dark Shards as well, which could be a big problem. In this matchup, I'm normally used to dealing with Dark Riders with crossbows, and that's where the Chameleon Skinks really shine. But against Dark Shards, could be a little bit more tricky. We also have some Cold One Knights as well as Dark Riders in reserve as a nice little cav contingent. And up in the skies, we have Malekith, one of the most seen Dark Elf Lords. He's just kind of chilling on the back of his black dragon here. Coming in with Gaze of Malice, Stand Your Ground, Soul Stealer of course, and Word of Pain. Should be a good fun fight. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway as the 2 hordes do start to march towards each other. We're going to be pushing it mainly with our Chameleon Skinks to start with. So I think the Hagenef Executioner is not a bad target at all. Yes, they have 100 armor, but no shields or anything. So we're going to try and get a little bit of free poke, a little bit of damage, and try to entice my opponent to be the one to take action and push forward. Have the Dark Shards are skirmish firing, I suppose, counter skirmishing back onto Chameleon Skinks, doing some pretty decent damage. And these guys aren't shielded, but there's a huge amount of them, and they could really cause big problems to pretty much everything in my build. They can pin down the Umbral Tide and, yeah, push off the Ripidactyls and the like. Umbral Tide do sneak forward, looking to try and get a few free shots on Malekith, but my opponent is going to be wise to this and pulls back as the Chameleon Skinks do push in. And looks like a ton of fire coming in, doing some really decent damage to the Chameleon Skinks overall, despite their lovely missile resistance here of 40%. There's just so much bow fire coming in. It's some pretty scary stuff indeed. Malekith floating forward is being poisoned here quite badly. A load of darts do miss him there, but still, every now and again, some are connecting, and the Umbral Tide do unleash a barrage as well, doing some pretty decent burst damage straight out the gate, before switching their attention here to the Black Ark Corsairs, trying to butter them up before the Saurus do indeed get involved here. Lord Kroak has popped forward a little bit, but takes a big breath attack to the face for his troubles before time to fall back. Dark Riders do try to chase down the Chameleons, but they're going to be intercepted by the Skinks and just obliterated by a mixture of blow darts and Umbral Tide here. Front lines are getting ready to engage, and these Saurus can have a tough time, so to help them out, we do drop a Supreme Shield of the Old Ones. 44% damage resistance is certainly going to be quite nice. So we do drop our first Deliverance as well. It's only with the middle one here, but it is popped quite nicely there on the Harganeth Executioners. And kaboom! Does some pretty decent work. Takes about half their health off. As we saw a Hand of the Gods did a whip by there, smacking Malekith in the face, as the Umbral Tide as well dealt some pretty decent damage. But the Dark Shards have bunched up here, attempting to push forward and hunt down the Umbral Tide. Did some really decent damage to them, actually, nearly taking them out of the game. But I do spot this big bunch up, and we're going to be coming with the biggest Deliverance of it. So my opponent does notice and move forward a little bit, but not enough. Bam! A absolute massive bloodfest there as Lord Kroak goes up to 208 kills. And I think the first lot got him kind of about 20 kills. So that was ridiculous, shattering 4 units with 1 blast. Lord Kroak certainly paying his dues there. Although it looks like Malekith and the Cold One Knights have certainly had enough of him. They're going to be hunting him down. Ripidactyls do countercharge here in an attempt to save him. As for the front line, due to the help of the Chameleon Skinks, Umbral Tide and the like, we're trading very effectively in the front line. You can see these Blackguard are getting poisoned, allowing the Saurus Warriors to really help drag them down. And in the centre pocket, these Saurus managed to overwhelm the beat-up Harganeth Executioners. Now, big engagement is going down in the back line as Lord Kroak desperately tries to escape here. He's actually going to drop one last blast as well on his escape here. He is a Word of Pain here, which is going to make him a little bit worse for wear. The blast catches a few of the cold ones, but it only enough winds of magic for the small one. The Colossus Hunters do dart down, trying to finish off the Cold One Knights, but stand your ground pops, they're pretty tough. So the Umbral Tide are forced over as well to do some decent work and help finish those guys off. And even Kroak's coming over to say hello. It looks like Lord Kroak is going to survive for now. In the main line, we see the Blackguard do try to surround some Saurus Warriors, but with so many Chameleon Skinks firing consistent darts in, these Blackguard really starting to struggle. And a big fat breath attack does come down, and our dear beloved Lord Kroak is sent to the afterlife once more, but I'm sure he'll be back in the future. So at this point, Malekith up in the skies is in a pretty bad situation. We're going to be poisoning him with the Chameleon Skinks to slow him down. So his speed is down to 68, and the Colossus Hunters are pretty nifty and fast with their speed, I believe, of 90. Let's have a little look if I can see the stat card for a decent time. Yes, it is. Big Hand of the Gods does come up and slap Malekith as well. And with the blow darts and Ripidactyls hunting him down, Malekith indeed is going to shatter. And it looks like my opponent's build is going to fall apart there as well. We still have a pretty decent skirmish core. And even the Saurus are holding relatively well in the front line. So very well played to my opponent. Just a really silly kind of fun game we had on ladder. So very well played there. And a little bit unfortunate, all his Dark Shards, he'd clearly got them all to attack the Umbral Tide, which is the right thing to do, try to shut down that threat, as they cause big problems for the Dark Riders and could have certainly done some good damage to the Cold One Knights and Malekith. But you simply cannot bunch up when you're against Lord Kroak. And he did move out of the way, but not quite enough. And a whopping 209 kills, pretty much all of them came from that one blast, apart from the damage he did early on to the Harganeth Executioners. So Lord Kroak being an absolute beast of the people, shattering 4 units with 1 blast. Now, of course, Lord Kroak is not competitive, particularly simply because his wind-up time for his spell is so long that most people can kind of dodge it in a competitive setting. However, if you do drop down the Shield of the Old Ones first on the location you want to do your blast, it is quite hard to spot in that instance. So sometimes it can certainly, pay its weight in gold here. Apart from that, Kroak did, decent work. He's a lot less mobile on foot, of course, but the Hand of the Gods still managed to clip Malekith twice, doing some pretty decent damage. And of course, Chameleon Skinks, Umbral Tide. If you watched my channel much before, you know I love these guys. They do so much damage, and I'm really enjoying the Colossus Hunters as well in recent times. Bit squishy, as I said before, a little bit of roll of the dice, depending on what you come up against. But if you know you're going to be coming against Dark Elves, someone who likes to take Malekith, Marathia up in the skies, they can certainly put a bit of pressure on them, especially when supported by the poison of the Chameleon Skinks. Anyway guys, hope you did enjoy this crazy battle. If you did, please feel free to give the video a bit of a thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. And if you want to send in replays, feel free to join my Discord. There's a link down below in the description. We're also kicking off Death Before Dishonor Season 6, which is a tournament we do, tournament season, and the first qualifier is going to be tomorrow, so it will be streamed. I can't say the exact time, but the tournament is going to kick off at 4 PM BST, British Standard Time. So if you want to take part, once again, just feel free to join my Discord. And guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.